Hi there everyone, and welcome to Fingers, Fums and Fits. In this episode of TTPITL I shall be painting the last remaining member of the party, the mystic adept Adara, from the cats of Mont Saint Michel. Can I keep the paint inside the lines? Let's find out. And, as with Leon, we're going to jump right in. I primed the Mini with grey sear spray, and painted her fur with black legion. Not forgetting her tail, left foot, and right leg. Now, I must apologize for this step, as for some reason the picture didn't transfer correctly, so cannot be used. However, here, I used Administratum Grey to paint her hood, cloak, and skirt. Here, you can see the subtle difference that made. But, moving on, I then painted her belt and wrappings with Baneblade Brown, not forgetting the straps on her exposed right leg. I added some shading to her clothing by applying some thin down Space Wolves Grey all over her hood, cloak and skirt. I then took some neat paint directly from the pot and applied it to the deepest recesses, to accent those darker shadows. And then re-layered the Administratum Grey over these grey areas, avoiding the recesses where the paint had settled. Before adding a highlight of grey sear. And to add a bit of contrast and depth to her fur, I first dry brushed it with rust grey, before applying a wash of Nuln Oil. Before I added some brown washes, in the form of skeleton horde to her belt and wrappings, and wildwood to her staff. I painted the top of her staff, as well as her brooch, with Runelord brass. Wash these areas with Seraphim sepia. And then completed her brooch by painting the center with Stormhost silver, and adding a drop of one of my favorite paints, Frostheart. Now, let's address the top of her staff. I've seen it painted as flames, but I like the idea of it being a magic rock. So, to this end, I first painted it Caliban green. I then added a highlight of Warpstone glow to the sharp edges, and Moot green to the top edges, before I used a wash of Beal tan green to tie it all together. And I guess it's time to look at that flame she's conjuring in her left hand? Let's start with a base of white scar. You want this initial layer to be as bright as you can get it ideally. Following an all-over layer of Eondon yellow, I then applied further layers from the top down, stopping progressively higher up the flame and feathering the end out with a damp brush. And the paints I used here were Gryph-hound orange, Flesh Terrors red, and Black Templar. Remember to let each layer dry fully before applying the next. So the final thing was to paint the base. Or what you could see of it anyway. I also went in with a bit of Black Templar under the more prominent folds of her skirt, to add some shadow. Now, I have to admit, Adara was the one I was least looking forward to painting, and the one that I am kinda the most disappointed in. Not through any fault of her own, it's all on me. It's the large areas of white. I don't tend to paint stuff like this a lot, and I am honestly not great at it, but I gave it a go and actually, I am quite happy with the overall result. But, it's not about what I think. It's on you guys. Did I manage to keep the paint inside the lines? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again for the next one. Have a great day everyone, and I'll see you later.